Hi everyone, this is Belal Khan and you are watching Simplified Coding. This video is for all the beginners out there. Today, I will teach you about JSON. That is the most basic thing that you should know as a programmer. So make sure you watch it till the end because it is very essential for you as a developer or programmer. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation, and it is actually a subset of JavaScript. That means all the JSON that you write is a valid JavaScript code. But it is not a programming language. It is a data format, or you can say data interchange format, and it is the most used format in the IT industry right now. It is easy for humans and for machines to read and generate. You may be thinking that why we use JSON. The very simple answer is to communicate. We humans use some language, maybe Hindi or English or any other language to communicate with other humans. And the same way, computer programs use JSON to communicate with other computer programs. We use JSON to build RESTful APIs and config files. For example, the settings of VS Code. Or if you use Node.js, then there you also have a package.json. So these are the example of config files. And you might have already seen the RESTful APIs that also uses JSON. JSON became very popular because it was extremely lightweight and easy to understand. Earlier, people were using XML, but now everyone uses JSON. JSON is language independent and almost all the programming languages have the inbuilt functionality to work with JSON. Now let's discuss the data type of JSONs. We have strings, and anything written inside double quotes is a string. To represent names, long text values, a whole document's content can be represented as string. Then we have numbers. So numbers are any number, a whole number, decimal number, negative number, and you can write it directly in your JSON. Boolean values can have either true or false. And null is defined as null and it means no value is available. Then we have the most important thing, which is object. And object is defined with curly braces. And inside object, we represent data in key value pairs. One key value pair is one item of the object, and the object can have any number of items separated by comma. If you have only one item, then comma isn't needed, but multiple items are separated by comma. In the JSON object, key can only be defined with a string, so key is always written in double quotes. And for the value, we can use any other data type that we can see here. And we can even use arrays as the value of a key. And that is how we represent the complex data by nesting the JSON document with arrays and objects. Finally, we have array, and it is defined by square braces. Inside square braces, you can put any number of items separated by commas. You can also put different data types for your array elements. So this was the basic things about JSON. Now let's see some examples. So we have a file named users.json, and inside this file you can write any JSON data and it is a valid JSON. For example, you can write a string, you can write a number value, you can write boolean, and you can write an object. But writing a single value does not make any sense because we need to represent some complex data with the help of JSON. So usually what happens is in the root of our JSON file we have a JSON object and we represent a JSON object with the help of curly braces. And let's represent a user with the help of this JSON object. So inside this JSON object, the first thing we can have for the user is the user ID. And let's make the ID as 1. Then we can have the username. And username can again be any string, for example Bilal. Then we can have the email of the user. So this is how we create a JSON object. Now we can nest this JSON object with arrays and other things as well. For example, this user covers some topics, and we can define the topics as a JSON array. So for the key, again we will write a string and topics is the key, but for the value we can write an array. And for the array we use square braces. So this is the array that will define all the topics that are covered by this user. For example, here we can write Kotlin, Java, JavaScript, PHP, and other things. So you can write any number of items for your array. Then we can also define one more complex object, and this time we will define all the posts by this user. And for this posts, again we can use an array, but inside this array we will have the objects this time. So this is an array of objects. And for the array item we can also define an object like this, and this object will contain ID of the post. So again give it 1. Then title of the post, let's say learn JSON, and then content of the post. So whatever content that you want, you can put it here. And the same way we can define multiple posts for this user. So this is how we define a JSON file or JSON object, and it is used in all the cases. For developing Android apps, for building websites, the JSON is very important. So that is all for this video, friends. I hope you found this video helpful and learned something new. In case you have any question about JSON, then feel free to comment it below. And if you found this video helpful, then please give me a like and a share. So thank you guys, this is Bilal Khan now signing off.